don't find a man like me no more. I'm sick of wondering where you are. Yo, what it do, y'all? Welcome back to Beat by the Key TV, back with another one. And for those of y'all that don't know, we dropped a video a little while back about direct-to-consumer in the Texas rap scene, basically shedding light on the fact that here in Texas, a lot of artists have been direct-to-consumer and maybe even preferred that way. So we give a lot of background history about Texas and how a lot of our artists and our culture really derive from selling tapes and CDs out the trunk in mom and pop stores. So apparently Curtis King reacted to our video. If y'all don't know who Curtis King is, he has a very successful YouTube channel based on hip hop production and being independent. He actually has a lot of videos about DIY and direct to consumer and things like that. Y'all go check him out when y'all get a chance. So without further ado, let's get into his reaction. And also, we want to take the time to react to his reaction. All right, let's go.
I want to draw your attention over to this video that was well done. It was put up by an account called Beats by Key TV.
All right, so first things first, we know a lot of people get confused about the name, and what it means and how to say it. So the name Beat by the Key is actually inspired by Beats by the Pound, who was the in-house production team for No Limit. So the thing about them is they are a production team, but each one of them individually can make their own beats. And we have that same business model. Every one of us can hold our own. So we took the S out of beats and turned the pound to a key. For those of y'all that know what I mean. Let's proceed.
You did a great job of breaking down the history of direct-to-consumer as it relates to specifically the Texas rap scene. Now, he goes through many different names within here that I think is going to be really, really dope for those of you that want to get a really good history lesson in how direct-to-consumer has been utilized in the Texas rap scene. But from what I understand, this is going to be a series in which we're probably going to end up coming back to here because he's really good about getting his information. With that said, I want to draw your attention to two specific timestamps here, and then of course I'll leave the link so you guys can go check it out as well. But let's check out this video where Beat by the Key TV.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate you, Curtis. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
Breaks down direct-to-consumer in Texas and its rich history.
In the process of reading a lot of articles and also watching a lot of YouTube videos based on the music industry.
Oh, that's me.
You see how happy he was when he saw himself. Proceed. There's a plethora of content out there based off this new direct-to-consumer model where an artist promotes and sells their product directly to fans without any major label or third-party backing. Essentially, this puts the power of the music back into the hands of the creators where it should be. With that being said, I think it's safe to say that in reality, this has always been the way. And maybe the biggest mistake we've made as creators is putting our music in the hands of someone else, especially someone who doesn't understand the culture in which the music has developed from. Contrary to the idea of this being a new discovery, the idea of direct-to-consumer has always been a thing, even dating back to the 80s and 90s. There was a time when local and underground artists would sell their music hand in hand, some even literally out the trunk.
Everything. I started to trunk my car, just like E4 and Too Short. I grew up in a competition they grew up in, but what made me different, I started a retail store. And by me having a retail store, I was able to study the product and study as a business person as far as retailing a product to a consumer.
Some artists will work directly with mom and pop record stores under consignment. Basically, as an artist, you would give your CDs to the stores for a certain price, and the store would sell them for a bit more. You, as the artist, would make your money back, and the store owners would take their cut off the top.
Wasn't no better feeling. For those who had an opportunity, I absolutely had an opportunity to go in with a few of my projects and go and have that conversation. It's nerve-wracking to kind of give you an idea for those who've never experienced even record stores like Warehouse Music or Tower Records. It definitely shakes your nerves up to go in there with your music, even though you got a barcode and you know you did everything that you needed to do. Going to a Best Buy, it wrecks your nerves to be like, can I speak to the manager? Can I speak to the manager? Because I want to put my music in. It was nerve-wracking, but the feeling you got when they said, yeah, fill out this paperwork. Here's how our percentages work. Here's how our payouts work. Come back to us, and we'll let you know if they're selling. If they're not, we'll take them down and leave them here for you. But it was definitely a character building experience to be able to go into these stores.
Nah, that's true, y'all. Now, unless you experienced this before, you can never really understand the feeling, especially now because there ain't no mom and pop stores. That definitely builds character, and it teaches you how to operate outside your comfort zone. Some people in this business need to really be able to do. You gotta sell yourself, you gotta sell your product. On top of that, seeing your hard work, your blood, sweat, and tears, your project on the shelf in a store, hearing your song on the radio, man, ain't no better feeling than that. Let's go.
With that said, though, in understanding the rich history, I think that Beats by the Key TV says something that was very pivotal to why you're seeing so many artists go direct to consumer. That being, at some point, we gave the responsibility over to those who seem to have a better business acumen, or we assume to have a bit better business acumen than us, and these major labels, because they are in the record business. They know what to do. They know how to put these records in a position where they'll be best monetized.
Not to mention, a lot of artists really don't come from money like that. In this business, it takes money to make money. If you don't have money to invest in yourself, it might seem like an easier option to have a label do all the heavy lifting for you. Now, unfortunately, when you do that, you gotta play by their rules, period. If you're a local rapper, you struggling to pay bills, and a label exec offers you a couple $100,000, your short-term hunger might override your long-term judgment. It happens all the time.
However, one thing that I think that happened in that process that we weren't anticipating was for the piracy conversation to come up and for that to give the whole music industry a heart attack. And their panicked reaction ended up eventually becoming the model that we know now as music streaming. Albeit convenient for the listener, it still was never designed for the artists, especially the independent artists, to be able to make a living off of doing what they're doing.
In my opinion, the bad thing about file sharing was not only massive amounts of bootlegging, but because everything was free, people don't feel the need to pay for it or get up and go to the store and purchase it, hence music streaming. Now we got access to all music, and all we gotta do is either pay like $10 or just skip a few ads, right?
The difference with direct to consumer is that if you had 10 or 20 people that are willing to come into that one store, that might have given you the opportunity to get your stuff in there, get more of your music in there. In a little section where it says C, and I can put my name, okay, I get the whole Curtis section. This is all me right here. Curtis Mayfield, Curtis King. Okay, let's do it then.
As a member of Get Money Click, we did over 1,500 shows going on tour around Texas and other parts of the South, as well as selling over 100,000 records, you guessed it, independently in the streets in as many mom and pop stores as we could find. Now, just so y'all know, that's not an exaggeration, y'all. You really can do those type of numbers independently, and we are a walking testament to it. That mixtape that you saw, Countdown City, was mixed by DJ Rapid Rick, the mixtape mechanic, and it did very well locally, allowing us to do more shows out of town and surrounding areas, as well as radio appearances. At one point in time, my homie PT, who was also part of Get Money Click, or GMC, had his own store called Texas Sounds, where he would sell all underground music that came out in the area, including all of our releases. When you have a fire product, a dope stage performance, and a storefront to sell your own music from, as well as other well-known acts in the area, things tend to fall into place.
Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. Let me drop the bomb.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
These are those moments where I say to myself, there's something to pick up from here. There's something that we can use today. When you have a fire product, you have the fire packaging, you have a storefront, which in this case would maybe be a Bandcamp or maybe be your website. When you have local artists that you're working with that have an established name for themselves, you've set yourself up to see success direct to consumer. Now, these are things that we have access to even in this new digital space. It's just a matter of understanding where the pieces have moved to. I love that he broke that down.
I mean, it's true, y'all. All these things are obtainable. And you don't need a major label to obtain all these things. Sounds like a winning recipe to me. The state of Texas has mastered the art of direct-to-consumer years ago. In a place where there was no major labels at one point in time, independent musicians and label owners were forced to take matters into their own hands.
Don't that sound like right now? Doesn't that sound like right now? Artists are forced to take matters into their own hands.
And it's always been this way in Texas. Think about DJ Screw. Do you really think Screw pressed up all them tapes, brought all these artists in, gave them a platform, recorded and mixed vocals for nothing? It's probably because he knew that no one else would do it for him. Not to mention, he was a DJ, and that's what DJs do, break records, right?
Because it seems like platforms like the distro kids, like the Spotify's, and I put them both in that same category because nobody wants to stand up and say, hey, this is all on me. Nobody wants to stand up and say, I'm the reason why your songs are getting removed. Hey, actually, this is us taking proactive. Nobody wants to claim whatever it is. So in a situation where artists are having their music removed from Spotify, even those who want to be a part of music streaming, in an era where they can get their stuff ripped off, and after they've already paid for yearly service with some of these platforms, they've paid for a service to distribute their music, all they want to do is get their music out to their fans. They can't even do that because it seems now the distributors and the DSPs have become more strict.
Not only more strict, but more in tune with each other in the major labels and less in tune with the artists.
Their explanation is not some long-winded file or document with evidence. Their explanation is, we think it's bots. So, sorry. Hopefully when you upload it again, it won't be like that. Then making you start from scratch in trying to accumulate those 1,000 streams for the threshold on Spotify. But good luck doing that when now you don't have the support of the playlists that help you get those streams. Good luck doing that on a project that is now 5 or 6 years old and you've already moved on to new songs. You're seeing how they're starting to carve extra money out so that they can profit as a company and a Spotify. This is where it leaves us in a very similar position as a lot of these artists that were in the South, that were in Texas, that were saying like, look, ain't nobody coming to save me. I gotta save myself.
I like that point. Perfect example. Years ago, Slim Thug released his major label debut called Already Platinum. Now, people thought he was crazy. Like, why would you call your first album that? Like, what the hell? Well, it's because Slim Thug, like a lot of other artists from Texas, had already sold millions of records independently in the streets and mom and pop stores before he ever signed to a major label. Because there were no major labels here, we had to automatically take this approach. We figured out a long time ago that rather than waiting for a label to pay us a small percentage of our own product, we could leverage and sell our own product and see the lion's share of the profits. A good example of this today is what Sauce Walker has done with the Sauce Factory, making a name for himself, as well as signing other artists and giving them a platform to do the same. I love the idea of direct-to-consumer, which is why I decided to make this serious. With that being said, the question is, do we, as artists, continue to distribute our music to streaming companies like Spotify, Apple Music, or Tidal for pennies on the dollar? Or do we take the music back into our own hands, selling directly from our own websites, while still utilizing platforms like social media and YouTube for promotional and advertisement purposes? I mean, that's what social media is for, right? To promote and sell yourself and your services, to advertise your business, even though some people promote everything but that. Is streaming the way, or do we go back to physical media like CDs and vinyl? Maybe we need to start looking toward the next form of physical media, whatever that may be. Maybe it's something that already exists, or
let's pause it right there. It's really interesting if you just saw this right here.
Physical media, whatever that may be. Maybe it's something that already exists. I don't know. Maybe the phone is the physical media. I never thought about that. Maybe the phone is the physical media. Maybe we should start selling smartphones with our music pre-uploaded into them. Just a thought.
A cassette USB card. Now, I showed you guys this some time ago. I have this business USB card that holds about 4 gigabytes of my music, my audiobook. It has some unreleased songs, instrumentals, beat battle beats, all kind of different things. This is like my business card, basically. You want to get to know Curtis King? Boom. Not only is it something that I have sold for at least $40, but because it's pay what you want, I've had people that have paid upwards of $120 for this device. Now, this device itself, it is significantly less to get this, but the value is not just the device itself. The value is the functionality of the device, but also the music that is on there is what's valuable to the person that's actually making the purchase. So shout out to everybody who's got that from my website.
All right, y'all, we're going to go ahead and end it right there. So what did y'all think about the reaction? And what did y'all think about the reaction to the reaction? Hey, Curtis King, man, appreciate you reacting to our video. For real, man. That's solid. All our subscribers, everybody watching, everybody tuning in, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Beat by the Key TV. Stay solid. Ah, ooh.